Have you ever watched something that completely rewired your brain chemistry?
A procedural network drama might not be your usual pick, but it's ours.
This is The Buddie System, a 911 deep dive podcast hosted by three friends who have DM'd each other enough character dissertations to earn a PhD in media literacy. I'm Han, coming to you straight from the characters' heads.
I'm Sil, bringing you to the observation deck.
And I'm Rachel, connecting the dots with my red string. With our powers combined,
No stone is left unturned.
and no Buddie is left behind. This week, we discuss where the characters of 911 start and end Season 2, along with individual highlights and things to keep in mind that are relevant or paralleled in upcoming seasons.
Our favorite episodes, moments, and what new fears this season unlocked in us.
And what if scenarios where one change could have far-reaching aftershocks?
Ooh.
Ooh. Hey, Alexa, play Whatta, man.
You so crazy. I think I want to have your baby.
Welcome to The Buddie System.
So, what did we think about this season as a whole?
I can't believe we're finally at the end of Season 2, because I remember when we were watching Season 1, we were like, when's Season 2 happening? And this is almost twice as long, and it feels like we've been covering it for a long time, but also like no time at all. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. I love this season so much. I feel like there was so much to dig into with parallels and...
That's next season.
What?
Digging into with our bare hands.
Okay.
Listen, I get to make one every now and then.
I'm surprised that you even made one.
Then you can't get mad at me when I end up derailing and not knowing where my thought went.
Anyway, Sil, what was your thought on the season?
My thought on the season, it was an explosive season. It was leg crushing. It was show stopping. There was chickens? There was chickens involved.
Was it rip your shirt off exciting?
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, okay, overall, I mean, it's a great season. I mean, we get the introduction of, two characters. We get Maddie and we get Eddie. I was going to say something else, but I couldn't think of something.
Proper name, please. Backstory stuff.
Backstory stuff.
Yeah.
Basically. I just saw you
Basically.
look into the middle distance. You're like,
No. What I meant was I was gonna make a joke about his name, but I couldn't even think of one because I guess I said Eddie. So there we go. That's what happened. So yeah, it was hair pulling. You're like thinking about what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the guy with his hair, like the long hair. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What else? I mean,
that it was a lot of fun getting to explore more depth with characters that we already have gotten to know in the first 10 episodes of Season 1 and see kind of how they grow and how it operates when you put more characters into the mix to create that real the ensemble that we know and love today.
Well, to bounce off of, I think, what Sil said for the Season 1 wrap, where she said,
Season 1?
yeah, you said, no Eddie, boo.
Oh. I was like, what?
Eddie, yay. Those are my general thoughts on this season, because he's one of the characters of all time.
So true.
He was sorely missed in Season 1. And, obviously getting to know him and Christopher and seeing the relationship grow between him and Buck is just a fucking delight from the get-go. And I have really enjoyed really digging in. I've much more enjoyed rewatching multiple times this season than last season. And that's one of the big reasons. And also just because I think this is a better season in general. Yes, we get introduced to Maddie. Love her. She is who I have aspired my whole life to be as an older sister, which is just a menace. And
in the best way.
I kind of love everyone's arcs this season. We get our Begins episodes, which are great. And I just think this is a great season. But like overall, Eddie, yay. Eddie, yay.
Yay.
Even though Eddie very sad face because his wife is dead and his best friend was just crushed by a ladder truck.
Eddie, not yay. We are yay.
Eddie, not yay, but we are yay about Eddie. And that's why our show is so buck-coated.
If you didn't know, now you do.
Now you know. Anyway.
This is why we love to talk about how things affect Buck. It's all about him.
Except when we're about Eddie.
Except when we're about Eddie.
Or when we're about Buck and Eddie.
Yeah.
Or about how the other characters' arcs affect Buck or Eddie or Buck and Eddie.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy how we're still going.
The rest of the 118 is like,
the season 2 wrap.
Also here.
So we have a new thing we're doing for this season wrap, which is just a very short little segment where we reward some superlatives.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you ever have gone to school, why is that a thing I was going to say?
We hope you've gone to school.
If you've gone to school or if you've watched things about people going to school, this is a thing they normally put like in yearbooks, like in high school.
Yeah. Like class clown and
most likely to succeed, you know, that kind of stuff. But we're more creative with it.
Sorry, like the whole most likely to succeed. That should give you a complex.
Right? That's like setting you up for failure, basically. Yeah. And then you show up to the reunion and you're like, I've made nothing of my life. And
so our first superlative is most likely to be broken up with on a couch, which goes to Buck. Yeah. I know this is shocking information.
Do we clap? This is like a award presentation. Oh.
Not the first time he's been broken up with on a couch. And it's not the last time.
And if you'd like to hear more about that, we have a whole couch theory episode just for you. All right. Next up, we have most likely to internalize the guilt of their dead wife goes to Eddie.
Yay.
Why are you cheering?
Golf claps, golf claps.
And lastly, most scorching firefighter in the hot days, smoldering nights, men of the LAFD wall calendar goes to Chimney.
Mr.
Actually,
April.
Mr. April.
So I think this leads us to our character arc highlights, which is kind of the opposite of what we normally do because we're looking at it from just like a zoomed out instead of our very like micro zoomed in character analysis that we normally do. So I think we're going to start with Hen and Karen.
Okay, so Hen, honestly, we do have an episode in season 2 called Merry Xmas, but honestly, it really did start with Hen. The ghost of Xmas past started with her. So
it did start with her.
Yeah, it did start
she
with
brought
her.
The curse upon the rest of the season.
Yeah, she did.
Actually, she brought the curse starting with last season.
It all goes back to that full moon, curse of the moon.
Wow. No, really, when you think about it, that episode.
It does. Yeah.
I'm thinking about Buck and Abby now, and I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the only one that can blame the moon, though.
Yeah.
Only cancers can actually blame the moon.
Wow.
Only people with cancer placements can be like, the moon made me did it.
That's true.
Anyway, so not a ton of like stuff to dig into for them this season, but that will change for next season. But basically, the whole arc for them this season is just about like re-solidifying
their relationship.
Their relationship and them as a family unit, and kind of going through the stuff with Ava, trying to shake things up once things had like finally kind of evened back out. And then we end the season on a way better note than last season for them because they decided to expand their family.
So it does kind of come like full circle for them, like from the end of season 1 to the end of season 2. Like they are in a much better place. And it's just like, I think it's kind of like you see the fruits of Hen's labor for fighting for her family, right? Because you have Earthquake Eva coming in and shaking things up. And then Hen finds that, equilibrium, especially like,
why don't we name earthquakes? Sorry, continue. We name hurricanes
and fire.
Maybe because there's too many aftershock.
Maybe
it'd be too hard to.
It's probably hard to like differentiate between. So I think Earthquake Eva shaking things up and how Hen and Karen have reestablished like that equilibrium and that partnership that we saw that was already established like coming into season 1. So I think they're like, just to highlight a couple like big points of Hen and Karen's arcs. So we see kind of how far Hen has come in pursuing her calling because she was the first Begins episodes. So we were privy to like how that really came to be. And kind of obviously one of the other highlights of their arc is at the very end deciding to expand their family, especially after they spent so long trying to fight to get it back together. And then just a couple things that we'd like to note are maybe super important for later. Things to keep in mind as we going into like season 3 or beyond is Hen and Karen deciding to expand their family kind of ad nauseum, and how that like how that decision that they made at the end of season 2 kind of like reaches throughout. So like the rest of the seasons, even up through season 8.
They're literally not set free until season 8.
Yeah. And we have to go through a lot for that, for for them to finally like get the family that they have been trying for or wanting or desiring.
I just want to add, and I hope I'm right about when I wrote, I was like, so one of Hen's pivotal episodes is also like when she was battling with that whole like moral questioning morals about like pulling the plug on her dad. And I just want to say 911, I didn't have to see a horse die for that. That's all I wanted to say.
Honestly, yeah.
Could have done without. Thank you, 911, for giving me more trauma. But yeah, I mean, I think there was some character growth that, that she carries on with her, especially like we're going to see in season 3 with that whole life or death, the choice of, just how she like really cares for any living person and creature.
Yeah. That's a recurring theme for her character.
Yeah.
She loves animals.
Yeah. She does.
All right. So I think this leads us to Bobby and Athena. This season, Bobby and Athena, it's very much, again, like with Hen and Karen, it's all about their relationship, which we saw start at the end of season 1. And then when we start season 2, they're very much like established, but they're keeping it a secret and trying to keep it under their wraps in private. And then somehow we come full circle with that because they come out, so to speak, as a couple. They become very serious about each other. They get engaged, and then they get married privately.
I thought that was a really interesting cyclical story for them because you have like them keeping their relationship aspects or like their entire relationship private for different reasons. At the beginning of the season, it's kind of like a secret, like just for them, because Athena is grappling with all of those feelings of, potential failure coming off of her divorce and with Michael, and how she and Bobby were kind of on different planes of thought in that way. Because Bobby thought it was a triumph of her for getting back out there and finding joy, and she didn't see it that way. And then to have them both be so much on the same page with their relationship, with choosing each other, and having their wedding be a private ceremony, but it's not like private in shame. It's private like this is just for us sort of thing. Like, because they don't care about the outside pressures societal opinions or anything like that. So I thought that was really lovely and well done. And like looking through the season, you can see that subtle growth, I think. So in that way, we kind of wanted to highlight aspects of both Bobby and Athena's arcs separately, because a lot of their arc is together. But one of the things we enjoyed most about Bobby's character arc is him allowing himself to love and be loved by a family, which would be both the Grants and the 118, by, just like really opening himself up. Everybody knows now about, what happened in St. Paul. Like most of the skeletons in his closet have kind of been unearthed, right? And the family that he's created still love him, and he's able to allow himself to be loved. So like kind of not that he ever really fully lets go of that guilt of everything, but like he allows himself to truly live now.
Yeah.
Because he has stuff to live for. He has people to live for. And then similarly, Athena, again, they're kind of like on the same beat. She allows herself to open up and be vulnerable in order to build a relationship. So she built up so much wall with the fallout of her and Michael's relationship from the last season. And she's just trying to, similar to Bobby, like get back into a place where she can allow herself to love and be loved. It's very like parallel. They're on the same page there.
Yeah, but I think it's for different reasons.
It's similar themes for them or similar journeys, but the details are different.
Yeah, because for her, it was very much her wanting to protect herself from ever feeling that kind of pain again. And for Bobby, it was very much not thinking he deserved it.
Yeah.
And not allowing himself to be loved.
Mm-hmm. So it's like they really had to go on these like parallel journeys of self-growth in order to come together.
Yeah.
I love that for them
too. And then just a couple things to keep in mind going forward, post haste.
Coming up real soon.
The beginning of season 3, we have one of my favorite arcs, which is the lawsuit arc. And that all very much starts with
like Bobby Begins.
With looking at this flash, with Bobby Begins again. And really looking at like what happened with him in Minnesota when everything happened with his family, and how like he was benched and he was like begging to come back to work, and he went back before he was ready, and
and how that he may try to do something similar / different, we don't know, when the shoe is on the other foot, right?
Yeah. But how he's projecting that onto Buck because he sees Buck trying to come back before he thinks Buck is ready. So it's a lot of what happens in this last like quarter,
third
of
quarter.
Season 2, is so echoing still in the first quarter
of season 3. Yeah, they really do a good job of not only setting things up and following through for this season, but kind of like setting things up to follow through like interseasonally.
Yeah.
And then we also see,
because we get a peek into why Athena originally wanted to become a cop in New Beginnings.
Why did I always forget it's New Beginnings?
When she's having that conversation with her mother in her bedroom, we kind of see then in season 3 what then becoming a cop led to when we get Athena Begins.
Yes.
So.
And even looking further, then we'll revisit this again in the beginning of season 6. They've built such a solid backstory that it's really interesting to then be able to go into it in further detail seasons down the line. And just like that consistency there. Really cool. And it all kind of comes back to this like season 2 stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm just reading what I wrote at like 2 a.m. last week.
Oh my God.
Chimney, my sweet prince. He has no prospects. No, I was on like something.
No, I love these notes. They're so amazing.
I have Bobby. Eddie, my boy. Unfortunately, he's so Hufflepuffy that he didn't see through Doug's red flags. Rip.
These are incredible.
Anyway, he gets stabby. While he's on his way to Maddie's for their first date. Sad.
Gets stabbied while he's on the way to Maddie's. Sad.
But he's okay. He's got 9 lives. Let's fucking go. All right. So Chimney, my sweet prince, he has no prospects. He started off, I mean, he's fresh out the hospital slammer after his rebar incident. His girlfriend left him. But hey, he was able to get some closure after a checkup, he got to see her again and they had amicable closure meeting. But honestly,
Like an exit interview.
Please complete this survey.
sorry, this is the comedy hour. And now we're going to go back a little bit serious. In the process of like really building more confidence in himself, he entered to be on that the hot firefighter calendar.
Well, Hen entered him.
Well, he wanted to enter.
Yes.
Do you want to rephrase that?
Yeah. Wait. I said hot firefighter calendar. That was for her, right?
Yes.
Every single sentence is coming out. I can't even get it. Nothing is working.
I think we broke Rachel. I think she's got to turn her off and back on again.
She needs a reset button. Like it's like she needs the Spanish reset button, like Buzz Lightyear.
So, Chimney, we start out the season and he is, coming fresh off, like lying his ass off for the entire first season.
Mm-hmm.
We see him kind of go through this journey where he like slowly builds his self-confidence, starting with being Mr. April in the firefighter calendar. And he's still doing his bravado thing, but it's reading less insecure and less like a mask and more just like his actual humor and like confidence that we have come to know and love like over all of the seasons that we have seen him in. So he's finding more like authenticity in being himself, and not just with the 118, but especially with Maddie, which I feel like that relationship, he is able to fully be himself, which is like a first for him, but also that he's able to be the most himself that he is with anyone.
Yes.
Probably other than Hen. So, there's that relationship. And then his interim captain Han days were stressful and bumpy, but I think that ultimately really built his confidence to know that like he could do the job, even if he doesn't ultimately like it. And, it's just a really good season for him because it's just worlds different from where he was in season 1, and he's just being himself and he's establishing this beautiful relationship with Maddie.
Yeah, I think the authenticity thing is one of the highlights of his arc, especially because we get to see the Chimney begins. So we see kind of like a fast-tracked way of how Chimney operated, like being on like trying to overcompensate, especially with Chimney Begins, and to compare that to where he is in present day. And I think also that him being interim captain helped solidified how authentic, or how he wanted to lean into his true self, because he was grappling with that of how to be like the friend, but also the authority figure and how to balance that. And I think so much of him this season really found that balance. So I think that was a highlight, as well as, just being himself and giving the time and space to foster a friendship foundation that is able to lead to Maddie as his romantic partner, but like equal partnership, right? Because it's such a give and take with them. And that doesn't happen if he's not being himself. Because that's who Maddie loves. And Chimney has to love first too. Do we have one or two things that are super important?
I mean, actually, yeah. Chimney Begins is going to be very relevant in season 6 because we're going to see Eli again.
Yes. But also, I think season 3, right, is when we get introduced to Albert.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, again, stemming from Chimney Begins.
Right.
And
which we do know that he has a brother.
Yes.
Like a brother.
Mm-hmm. And like a much younger brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who is his dad's favorite, apparently. So.
For now.
Until he wants to be just like Chimney.
Mm-hmm.
Good. We came up with stuff.
Did you have more Chimney stuff to read?
No, I don't got anything, honestly, except, he got stabbity dabbity.
Stabbity dabbity.
Highlight stabbity dabbity.
Stabbity dabbity do.
Listen, he got. What else can we say about Chimney? He's got 9 lives. Let's fucking go. He got stabbed and he still survived that after rebar.
How many lives has he used?
He is
rebar,
just
rebar, stabbed.
He's running out of them swiftly with
encephalitis.
Yeah,
he gets stabbed again. In 6.
Oh yeah, the ambulance inside the ambulance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. He is bodying Dean Winchester.
Oh my God, he so is. Like when people ask who would win in a fight and they put up like Chimney versus Dean Winchester.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, it's going to be Dean. Of course. No, that's Chimney.
It's got to be Chimney. And specifically has to be the picture of Chimney with the rebar. As the picture.
Mm-hmm. Dean may have died more times, but he's also died. So he's
also dead. And Chimney is not. So.
Yeah.
Also, Chimney that we know of has had no supernatural help. So
Kevin is looking over him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was my wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because it's the same universe as Supernatural.
Yeah. Yeah. That gas and sip, man.
Yeah. So we don't know. Moving on to Maddie.
So with Maddie, who we're introduced to this season, our first new character, we see kind of right off the bat that she's on the run. She's searching for a safe haven after leaving her husband, Doug, from a very terrible situation. And throughout the season, we see her beginning to settle into this new life and kind of put down roots with the help of Buck. And basically, she's living so much in fear for the first half of the season until that main confrontation with Doug and how she finally escapes his clutches. And after that, she's able to truly rebuild and find comfort in this new life that she's made for herself. In the second half of the season, she's finally able to enjoy the life that she's made and not have to live in fear and really question what she wants. Does she want this job that she kind of fell into? Does she want, this apartment, this family, this relationship with Chimney?
So the second bullet point, let's talk about the highlight of her arc. It is really just fighting for her life when she decided to leave Doug, decided that she not only wanted to live, but that she wanted to have a life. Mm-hmm. And decided to fight for that. And, she started to make a new beginning and Doug tried to take it for her. And then she had to fight again to, not only regain what she had lost from that, but getting back the pieces of herself that took away from her, and eventually at the end of the season getting back to where she was with Chimney, starting to build a new relationship. So really just being a survivor and fighting and never giving up.
Go girl.
Go girl. So impactful. So one of two things that are super important for later on, because of how things ended with Doug, he got stabbity stabbed. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Because of Dougie boy, fucking asshole. Because of all that trauma that she had with him. I mean, all of that is going to still reverberate through seasons 3 to 8. I thought it was more like 3 and 7. Is it still 8? Did we really have a Doug?
It's about to
Oh
come back
shit,
to be.
you're right. Okay. 3 and 8.
Yeah.
Got it.
Or it will have been by the time this comes out.
Oh my God, yeah. Yikes. Kidnap again.
Oof.
How many times can you get kidnapped?
Taken 2.
Taken 2.
How many times?
Chimney has.
How many times can you get stabbed or injured?
No,
They need a punch card.
Trying to quote Deadpool. Please hold. I had a Liam Neeson nightmare. I dreamt I kidnapped his daughter, and he just wasn't having it. They made 3 of those movies. At some point, you'd have to wonder if he's just a bad parent.
Well, Maddie's parents are pretty terrible, so not trash.
So, yeah. Taken 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. And then something to keep in mind for next season is just kind of how these effects of Doug give Maddie some holdbacks, even still in this relationship she's building with Chimney. Most markedly, she doesn't want to say I love you, and that leads to them being able to actually save the day in the taking a dispatch. So stay tuned.
Buck and Eddie. Buck.
Thank fuck.
Thank Buck.
Us and Buck. So season 2 started with Buck alone after Abby left, but he gained a new person in his life that he started to take his lonely boy aggression on. The man was so jealous, but also had a competency kink. Har, har, har.
Har, har, har. But really, though.
Yeah, that was the only funny thing. This lonely boy aggression.
Oh, boy.
It's like, you want to fuck me so bad, it makes you look stupid.
I took a lonely boy after the Gossip Girl.
Lonely boy. XOXO.
Gossip Girl. Yeah, so Bucks was the least funny of them all. So we can actually talk about him. Oh, look, lonely and stuck. I didn't read it. Wait, actually, I didn't look at this. So yeah, like I said, our book starts this season is lonely and stuck. Oh wow, it really is exactly what I wrote.
You did so great.
You did.
Oh wow,
You did great.
I mean, so he's lonely and stuck. But in waiting around for Abby to return because she left him high and dry. He's also pretty insecure about his place in the 118, even though he is also surrounded by family. I mean, Maddie comes back into his life and he has the 118 because that is his main core family anyway. And he gets a new partner. Oh, wow, it was really on point. Cool. He gets a new partner. Which is
I love
Eddie.
that Syl doesn't read the notes until we're recording.
It's like a surprise every time.
But then, he does suffer through that injury at the end of the season with the ladder truck incident. And now he's kind of like in this place of, well, not trying to figure out what's next. He knows what's next. He wants to get back out there. So that's going to be his struggle for season 3.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see Buck's trajectory throughout the season because he starts off in kind of a low place, right? With, feeling so dejected with the Abby stuff and feeling lonely and like insecure about his position within the 118, why he gets like so territorial with Eddie's arrival. And then, like in the middle, he really finds his footing. Everything is like just kind of locking into place until the end again, where he becomes even like more untethered than he was at the beginning because he can't physically do his job. It's not just like I'm feeling insecure. It's like, this is actually going to be like taken away from me, sort of thing. So it's interesting to see that like down, up, down sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a lot more than where he started. It's like worse now. Like forget not being in a relationship. Now it's like at the cost of something that he really truly loves, which is his job. So
yeah.
Damn.
It's like it's almost in the same place but different. That was so smart.
But he is in this like limbo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like before he had to wait because he was waiting for Abby to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that ran into season 3, even though like he knew, he still was like, she said she'd come back. And now he's waiting to see if he can go back to work, which is arguably worse.
Yeah, it's like when he finally got into gear, he like hit the mud again and the wheels are just spinning. Oh,
this is the second round of the hamster wheel. Second, third.
Yeah.
Not fourth yet.
I mean,
it's the second.
It's the second, for sure. For sure. Like we just kind of mentioned, a highlight of Buck's arc is actually him, just like season 1 theme, letting go.
Make like Elsa.
So he's finally able to let Abby go. So move on from that holding period, that limbo. And he kind of does so a little bit by baby trapping himself. With really like immersing himself in his relationships with Maddie and reestablishing that, establishing the partnership and friendship with Eddie, but also kind of positioning himself as such an important person in Eddie and Christopher's life by doing all of this, setting them up with Carla and, just all of that stuff. So that is pretty much like Eddie and Christopher are so much of the reason why, and Maddie too, but like specifically Eddie and Christopher are so much of the reason why Buck was able to kind of refocus his energy a little bit instead of like continue to spin his wheels waiting for Abby. It's like he let her go and now he's focusing on a new thing.
Just a couple things to just like keep in mind going forward. This crush.
That's why I was laughing.
Injury is going to be haunting him for a hot minute, if you will. Is kind of his entire first third of season 3 is all the direct effects of this injury. And this is like the beginning of the narrative loving to try and kill him.
Maybe his first, but it's not his last.
Okay, and then the other thing to kind of just like keep watch for the entire show, why we have a podcast and everything.
Oh,
is
really?
His friendship with Eddie, his platonic best bud, and definitely not romantic interest.
Thanks, TV Insider.
XOXO TV Insider.
Should I link that?
For funsies.
All right, let's start Eddie.
Hey, my boy. He's so capable and amazing. But he has a partner that's got it out for him. But with his strong manipulation skills, he was able to get him by his side and to have his back. And vice versa. And okay, and then Christopher is going to a new school, but the school needs to meet both of his parents to, I guess, kind of like, what was it? It was really just to meet them because it was like a formality or something. And so entered the ghost of Christmas past times like 3, I guess.
Oh my God.
So Shannon shows up. They don't really talk. They fight. They fuck. They keep fucking. And then Eddie brings her around so that Christopher finally has his Christmas wish of seeing her again. Yay. And they continue to suck at talking. Well, Eddie sucks at talking. Because he can't define their relationship until Shannon drops a baby bomb. which kind of wakes him up and try to make him make a decision on how to define their relationship. He tries, but turns out it was a pregnancy scare, and she serves him up with a divorce. Yikes. And even more yikes, she dies at the one. She dies as the 118 respond to a car accident, or what was it? A hidden? No, it was a car accident. I don't remember. Someone correct me whenever you guys get the chance. And unfortunately, she's the pedestrian that got hit with a car and died due to a spinal injury. So embarrassing. Am I right, Shannon? And then while she's trying to say her final words, Eddie tells her to shut the fuck up while she's basically dying. Oh, but I'm really sure that it was just for her not to use up her energy. I'm so sure. But it was really mean, okay, Eddie? And then unfortunately, Eddie has to break the news to Christopher. And then look what the fucking generational trauma drags in. Helene and Ramon!
Oh my God.
And they proceed to tell Eddie that he and Christopher needs to move back to Texas. To Yeehaw land. And then Eddie's like, hell the fuck no. I got a life here and a husband. This is
so you're summarizing everything from now on.
Yeah, you are. 100%.
This is the most constant and stable thing in his life. And this is the life that we choose. And Eddie graduates. Woohoo. You're welcome.
So Eddie is the other main character that we were really introduced to in this season. And the way that he's introduced is just like, here's this super competent, like sure-footed newcomer. He's like a family guy. He's gotten a medal. He's like, his reputation precedes him. He's this like all-star basically. And it's just like, and it's just like the entire rest of the season is kind of like breaking down that first impression that is more like hearsay than actual character of Eddie, right? So like we find out he doesn't know what he wants. He's a family man, but like his family situation with Shannon, with his parents is really messed up. And he's basically just trying to pick up the pieces of his life that he's built for himself and Christopher. And also on top of that, now he's grieving and being haunted basically by his almost ex-wife. So it's like everything that he was set up to be totally like taken down, like crashed down. It's kind of like opposite of Chimney in the way where it's like, you know, a lot of times in a season, you're like building a character up for that kind of growth. For Eddie, it's all been kind of downhill. The only good parts really are him starting at the 118 and meeting Buck. That's it.
Who's got his back?
Who's got his back? That's it. So, well, I mean, I guess, yeah, that was the highlight of the arc is the deconstruction. So what we have here, the deconstruction of a man's carefully constructed facade.
I thought that was so smart when I wrote it at 5 a.m.
It's very smart. I'm sorry I said it in a sarcastic voice. I'm just like, no, but like that's it. That's his entire arc. That's his entire arc. It's just like, here's this pedestal. Let's chip away at that pedestal. And here you have like the actual person, the actual Eddie, right? Except kind of not really, because does he really know who he is? I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. I feel like we're going to be finding out more about that this season in season 8.
Wink, wink.
So anyway, just a couple things. They're going to be super important forever for him, apparently. His friendship with Buck. His platonic best bud. And definitely not romantic interest.
Definitely not.
I mean, it's so important for both of them for similar, but also completely different reasons. Like, their friendship, you know, even taking the romantic connotations out, it's so important because, like, they don't have another person like they are for each other. Like, they don't have a best friend. They don't have someone who's that kind of support to them, who they can be as vulnerable with and like know that the other person has their back, you know, and it just continues to grow throughout the entire show. Like, yes, there are ups and downs, but they're always like very brief.
Mm-hmm.
Just like their enemies to friends to baby daddy arc, which lasted
the very brief
24 hours.
enemies to friends.
3 days.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just be keeping an eye out for that every single episode. That's why we're here, guys. That's what we're here for. Everyone.
We say we're keeping an eye out.
Like,
You know that meme of SpongeBob and Patrick with the eyes are like on the map? That's us.
I mean, we named our podcast after them. So it's kind of
shocking.
It's kind of a big focus for us. So we'll be here reporting on the news. And then the other thing that is very prominent right now and right then and for all time always is Eddie's grief over Shannon. Grief leads to anger. Anger leads to fight ring.
That was so clever.
Okay, Yoda.
I also thought this was hilarious when I wrote it at 5 a.m.
Funny you are.
But yeah, no, this man has been making terrible decisions because he will not deal with his own emotions since he was born.
At least since 10, just to give him a couple years, you know?
Yeah. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'll give him until he is back from war, even, because he was still like a child. I don't know. Some people like when they deal with a loss, talk to their friends. They talk to a priest. Sometimes they talk to a therapist, or they go to like grief counseling or like grief groups.
Not Eddie.
Some of us manage to not become part of illegal fight rings, but
you can do that?
You know.
Wow.
I know. I don't think he knows. I also, because he didn't know about divorce either.
No, he didn't.
Can you divorce a dead person?
No.
No, you're a widow.
Oh shit.
So he never gets to say my ex-wife.
He never,
like it will always be his
he
wife.
Never gets
I know.
Even that closure. Even the title is just like hanging over his head.
Worse. It's worse than if she had died while they were in limbo.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had made a decision to stick it through and try. And even after she was like, I'm not pregnant, he was like, that doesn't change anything.
Doesn't change anything. Where have we heard that
Not
before?
for me.
No, really.
Yeah, she's like, I want a divorce.
So now he has to live with that, knowing that he was also a failure, that he couldn't even like save her so they could both get like a second chance. Oh my God. I could go on that for a while.
He's never fucking dealt with that, and it's still literally ruining his and Christopher's life.
Love you. It's ruining my life. There is another little point that I did want to make sure we hit for things that will be important later, because this season we were introduced to Ramon and Helena, his parents, and how much they wanted to get Eddie and Christopher back to El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
And that will come up in season 3. And that will come up in season 8, 7, and 8.
It'll come up anytime we see Helena and Ramon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like all of that. Gestures to all of Eddie.
Gestures to all
of Eddie. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We can't divorce any of that from anything else.
I think actually one of the most realistic parts of the show, and one of the things that makes the characters kind of seem so real and relatable, is that all of them have a thing that they just like don't deal with or just constantly struggle with, no matter how hard they try to achieve or to get over a thing. So like his is like, he just will not address like the grief and all of the feelings surrounding Shannon. And then we have like Hen and Karen, their fucking struggle since we met them to like trying to grow their family. And then with Bobby, it's the loss of his family. And with Athena, it's like the loss of her fiance, which also came up again this season. And then
with Chimney, it's his issues with his father and mother and the loss of Kevin. And with Maddie, it's Doug.
I want to say for Buck and Maddie, it's the same thing, but completely different results. So like their thing is how fucked up their childhood was, right? Because their parents are fucking terrible. So for Maddie, her whole life,
it's because they had different roles in it.
Has been fucked because she was parentified because her parents, they didn't deal with their grief.
Yep.
And then they just weren't there for Buck. And then she had to do it. And she also had to keep this giant secret from him. That set her up to be susceptible for someone like Doug.
Yep. Oh, the dominoes.
And then for Buck, his issue is not knowing how to feel secure in being loved and that someone won't leave if he isn't using his body in some way to be of use.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Did I get everyone?
I'm pretty sure you did. Basically,
anyway.
They all have issues with their parents.
They do. But you know what I mean?
But in different ways. Or issues being parents, maybe.
But I think that's one of the things that, like, we get irritated sometimes because we're like, oh my God, address this thing, go to therapy. But it's like, as someone who's been in therapy for a long time, I can tell you there are certain things that like they can get better, but you just like won't ever get over. Some things you just can't like.
It's something you manage rather than get past.
Or you can think that you're like getting past it and then like it'll come back up. Like that's how life works. I think this leads us to more fun topics of conversation. We're just gonna like talk about each of our favorite episodes. Rachel, start us off.
Well, I have trouble choosing just one. Imagine that. I know this comes as not a surprise to anyone who has listened or knows me. Okay, if you want me to put it in a sequential order, fine. Okay. And this is just how I'm feeling today. Preface this. I love this season so much. I think. Okay, I think at number
30
3.
30 seconds are up.
No! You're so mean! Okay, fine. Coming in at number 3, I think Fight or Flight is an absolutely fantastic episode. You know what? We're just listing
name
them.
Drop them.
Yeah. Fight or Flight. Then at number 2 is Dosed. Number 1 is Stuck. I got so much from the themes and the parallels in that one. I love that one so much. You're welcome. 30 seconds. There you go.
For me, I feel like Fight or Flight is one of my favorites. And you know what? Fine. I'm also not going to pick one. Fight or Flight is a favorite because of like the intensity, the under pressure, because Buck and Eddie. And I will say, I actually really do like Careful What You Wish For. because actually, no, I'm sorry. No, that's really bad. Let me not go that route. No, it's not because she dies. I just think that it's a very interesting episode. It's very kind of Eddie heavy anyway. So, and then a fun mention is Ocean's 911 and Dosed.
You had more than me.
I don't care.
Was like, that was more than 3. Wow.
No, those were special.
I guess as the only person who can make decisions on this show.
Wow, Han.
And pick favorites.
Wow.
My favorite is, to the shock of probably nobody, is Buck, actually. Yes. Yeah. I said it at the same time. It's me. It just is. Buck is my favorite. Eddie is literally right. Just actually, he's not even. They're like tied, but it's just different.
You just understand. You have this connection.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's your comfort character.
Buck just like gets me, like, it hurts my heart. It makes my stomach drop. Like, it hits me in all the ways. Like, Eddie just like makes me sad for him. But with I always describe like Buck moments where I'm like, this is like firsthand embarrassment or like first.
Yeah, you do.
So it's like I'm feeling his emotions like as if they are happening to me. And so that's just such a big episode for him. And I think it's like one of the first episodes when I was watching the show where I was like, oh my God, I really love this character, because I started in season 2, guys. Like,
fake fan.
Fake fan.
I know, it's me, this fake fan who just spends all of her fucking...
Not as fake as me for
I
Supernatural.
was going to say my free time, but it's not even just my free time. It's all my waking time on this show. Yeah, I don't know. I just love it. I love episodes that are like really heavily focused, not even just Begins episodes, but ones that are really heavily focused around one character, even though it's an ensemble show, but like when everything kind of like circles back around thematically to them and it's just like a big impactful episode for them.
Mhm.
And because for Buck specifically, like his like overarching theme for his character is just that he's searching for love.
Mhm.
He's searching for love. And this is like really important episode for that because it's like he's letting go, thinking he realizes like what love should look like.
Yeah.
He still doesn't get it, but like he thinks he does.
Beautiful.
That's all.
Wow. I love that you guys gave actual reasons for your answers and you made me just...
I gave like 2-worded answers.
See how I got to talk for 2 minutes because I picked one episode?
Anyway, top 3 moments, guys.
Top 3
Whoa.
moments.
Okay, for me, when Maddie does the stabby at Doug, that was great. It was, girl power. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love that Spice Girl song.
No, okay.
Tell it to the world, stab your husband, every boy, every girl.
No, but really, I know that's a traumatic event, but you know what? She got him. She finally got him, and unfortunately has to face the repercussions of that. Another moment that I like is wait, I'm confused. Can you start over?
Oh, if we're doing just lines, I have a few. I feel like lines and moments are different. Because I was thinking like scene.
Yeah.
No, but it can be whatever you want.
It's because I can't remember. Well, okay. Yeah. So the heist, when they're doing that interrogation scene, that's fun.
It is really funny.
And then when Buck, Eddie, and Hen got, they after the post brownie at whatever call they're at with the little pageant.
Yeah, the pageant.
That's fun. And then
toddlers and tiaras.
Toddlers and tiaras. And then honorary buddy mention is, our What a Man scene. Yeah. Well,
I'm still trying to decide my third. I can decide it while I talk about the other two, I fucking guess. The number one moment is a buddy moment, but it's not the one you think. You would think it's the have your back any day. It's not that one. It's the gym scene.
Oh yeah.
Everything about that is objectionably so fucking funny. It's so funny.
Oh my God.
It's so
the
funny
posturing.
because the posturing is so funny, and the way that Eddie's like dissecting him, and Chim is just Chim is me. Chim is us. Chim is all of us. Just like watching, and then they look over him and he's like, like the whole thing is just perfection. Fucking love it. Okay, this wasn't the one that I forgot, but I think yes. Okay. Another one of my favorites is you two are dating.
Oh.
And then he lists all of the reasons why they're dating, and they're like, no. And it's doublefold because it's true. It's true. It's funny because he thinks he's roasting them, but he's also roasting his future self for the next 7 years, unbeknownst to him.
True.
And that's funny to me, personally.
No, that is so funny.
I can't remember the one I forgot.
If you remember
and I'm
it,
really upset about it.
We'll plop it in here. I obviously my brain is not working very well today. I think one of my favorite moments is from Stuck. It's the Eddie and Christopher montage where it's like because we dissected that for a while. There was so much to get into because there was almost no speaking. It was all like show don't tell. And it said so much about Eddie's character, kind of some of the first like breaking down of that preconceived notion that we were introduced to a couple episodes prior. And like it's just like one of those such well done character introductions from all production aspects of that, right? The acting, the scene writing, the music production, the set decoration, just like everything was so concise and it said so much. I'm trying to think of a couple others. Do you want to say yours and then I'll get back to mine?
Yes. The other one that I think is a personal highlight, because like Rachel always gets very easily like these goosebump, like a stomach swoopy things from like anything that's just like community togetherness. And it takes a lot for those to actually hit me really hard and hit me emotionally. I didn't say that to be mean.
No, I know.
That's just,
I know. It's just really funny. Because like nailed it.
It was so on brand.
There are two this season that really get me, but the one that really gets me is when everyone like breaks the police barriers into 18 and they push the truck off of Buck.
Yeah.
Well, darn. Now I wish that I said that first.
Yeah.
But that is a really good one because I do get goosebumps with that every single time.
What about do you think it's weird that I still live at Abby's apartment? Because you say that one a lot.
I do.
Yeah,
me too.
Me too. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess another one of mine is this also from Stuck. I guess this is why this is my favorite episode. Like that like little glimmer of self-reflection that we get with Buck, where he's asking like for input from Bobby. So Buck is kind of like crowdsourcing some opinions and trying to get some input of his situation, waiting for Abby because he feels like he's stuck there, and he's like. And it's just him saying, do you think it's weird that I still live at Abby's place? And Bobby just like doesn't pull any punches. He's just like, yes, I do. Like, hello, duh. That's the closest Bobby will ever get to like, duh. So yeah. Because he's so gentle parent, right? And then Buck's just like, me too. Don't tell anyone though. I don't know why, like like I love that for Buck's character where he's like, he's gaining some awareness about, you know, the actuality of and the consequences of him just kind of like waiting around for something that's never going to come to him, and the potential and the possibility of like moving on from that, even though it takes him a couple episodes to do so. So I love that for his character, but it's also just like the way the line is delivered is so earwormy to me. It's like, me too. I don't know what it is. I love it.
Does this like cadence for Buck. There's certain lines like that one, like the.
What's the other one that we do all the time?
Was it the one that I just said?
Which one?
Not anymore. He's dead.
Oh,
Isn't that great?
That's a good one.
He's dead. Isn't that great? Yeah, just like
it's him waving through the meteor, little girl going, "Hi, cat."
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. He just like taps into this childlike wonder personality, this like childlike optimism that I think is so indicative of Buck's character when he's just like at base level, when he's not going through the horrors, like horrors.
Well, but I think even the like, because he was like kind of going through it with the like, yeah, me too. Don't tell anyone. But I think it's so endearing.
Endearing. That's what it is
to me, because it's like he's allowing himself to like, because he actually doesn't always talk about everything that's going on with him. Like he keeps a lot of shit inside, I think. But like when he does like talk about it out loud like that, it's just like he's just so he's not holding anything back. He's not like coloring what he's saying.
It's
he's
so genuinely like asking for other people's opinions, like a guiding light sort of thing. Not because he can't make decisions for himself, but just because like he wants to know what other people,
the earnestness,
what other people think. And I love that.
It's like the earnestness combined with his complete lack of self-consciousness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's not self-conscious about like saying
like
these
it just
things
is what it
out
is.
loud, but like I would be fucking mortified to say.
Buck's, so often when we do get Buck's self-reflection, he speaks it out. Like it's outside thoughts, right? Because he doesn't do a lot of the inside thoughts about stuff like that.
No, he can't look at those.
No. So like when he does self-reflect, it's by crowdsourcing, by asking for input. And I do have, I think, a third favorite moment of mine. I really love the conversation or confrontation that Eddie and Shannon have in Haunted. I think that is such an interesting dialogue between these two characters because they have so much history that we are only clued in on up until this point, and it really just like lets the floodgates open. We're learning so much about Eddie. Again, we're learning a lot about Shannon, and just like anytime Ryan Guzman and Devin Kelly share a screen is just kind of like magic because there's so much chemistry in the way that they're portraying these characters. It's like kind of to me like a masterclass in that, but just like so from that aspect, but just like from the character standpoint, it's so interesting, which is kind of funny because it's a little bit the complete opposite of the Eddie and Christopher montage, because the confrontation with Eddie and Shannon is all speaking, right? So it shows kind of like the power in that as well. Like sometimes you do have to tell, and I don't even know what else to say about that. Like it just sets up so much of the rest of like Eddie for the rest of time. Right? Yeah. Like you finally get clued in to what's going on in there, and it's become more transparent or apparent. Parents. Anyways.
Oh my God.
So
okay. Speed run. What new fear did the season unlock in you?
Maggots.
Escalators. Wait, we should say it all at the same time. Move on. Rachel, are you serious?
Well, earthquake, ladder truck, your leg getting crushed, maggots, escalator. What was the other one that I was thinking about? Getting stuck in between two buildings.
Ooh.
Having that Charlie horse.
There's just so many of these things that I would just never be in a position for that to actually happen to me. But the escalator one, I was like, you will catch me stepping over that entire plate for the rest of my fucking life.
For me, yeah. So
no.
For me, the whole maggot thing, I go to different countries.
You guys couldn't watch that. I think I'm bucking that seat. I'm just like, this is hilarious.
I can't watch that. I mean, maybe.
Ooh, don't say maggot. Maggot.
I mean,
maggot.
That's one of those. That's one of those things.
Maggot. Yeah.
It's like tapeworm. Like, the icky stuff. God,
I mean, there's another one. I do have another one.
What?
It's is it the air compressor? Like at the mechanic in the first episode where he got like,
oh God.
Oh my God. No. Was basically getting blown up.
The only other like super visceral reaction I have is like, I don't plan on ever having cosmetic surgery, but like just the idea of waking up from surgery, like because like anesthesia were off or like something like that.
Terrible one.
is new fear.
Mm.
Ooh.
What else is gross?
Skin sloughing off.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Themes.
Woohoo!
So we have talked about themes in every single episode, so these should not come as a surprise to you because they showed up over and over and over and over again.
Basically what we've already said, so feel free to listen to our themes in every single episode of the season and find out for yourself.
All 18 episodes. We have Finding Your Path. A lot of this season is kind of establishing how people got started, you know, in their careers, or showing you actively, like Maddie is finding her place as a first responder and Eddie is starting his. And then we have 2 Begins episodes showing us how they got started, all of that. Under pressure, metaphorically and physically, all the E's.
Were you going to say more?
You can go. Take some.
Okay. So we also have things go boom, literally. Boom. Okay. Anyway. Okay.
You looking for this?
There's 2 of them. There's 2 movie references that I can do about, boom, you're looking for this. And then the last Harry Potter movie.
Oh.
It's because of the way she says it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of bombs. There was a lot of things that were gonna go boom, and then we finally had that ladder truck.
So we see kind of like when it's your emergency. So what happens when, especially for the first responders, when the shoe is on the other foot and they're the ones that need help, a lot of times it's connected to or even just like putting yourself in that shoes. When it is your emergency, you end up going in fight or flight. So that's a big one. Obviously, that was the name of one of the episodes. And also in kind of related, the whole idea of help is not coming. So when those first responders are not available to you and you're in an emergency, then you have to fight your way out. It's that like survivorship, right? And then awful people. So people, you know, like awful people are people born awful, or do they just have awfulness thrust upon them? Not really, but kind of like.
After all, she had a father. She had a father. She had a mother. As so many do.
There's aspects of, can awful people be redeemed? Are they inherently awful, or are there just like outside circumstances that made them act in awful ways? And on the flip side of that, kind of good Samaritans. So kind of like the best way I can explain this is like the coming full circle with the community coming together to save the first responders, in like the public coming to lift the truck off Buck in 218. But that also kind of reflects 203, where help is not coming, where Chief Williams said no one's going in to help. No one's going to help the first responders if they're all helping each other. So that kind of like banding together to do good, right, in the face of something awful that happens. Last but not least, having each other's backs, or partnership, right? So we see that literally with everybody. And whether you're like with Bobby and Athena having each other's backs in kind of literally anything, whether it's with Athena's parents, or when Bobby is suspended and everything, they just like, we see so much equal partnership with everybody. So we have Hen and Karen there when they're, you know, working together and they're finally on the same page. It's a lot of that, like on the same page, equal partnership. Maddie and Chimney, you know, there was a little bit of back and forth between them, like Chimney putting the ball in Maddie's court. But then when she finally comes to him and is ready for that relationship, it's so solid. And I mean, elephant in the room, Buck and Eddie.
Yeah.
having each other's bags. Well, maybe you can have mine. And how that's also mirrored in an opposite way with how Eddie and Shannon never had each other's backs. And it's just kind of interesting that all of those are romantic ways to have each other's backs. There's a lot of
except
wait,
allegedly.
Definitely not Buck and Eddie. I mean, we'll always see like having each other's backs in terms of like the 118, like on the job, but on a more personal level, it is like equal partnership between two people, and that so often ends up being the romantic partners. ...
Okay, great. Now it is time for
The last two legs.
What If.
No, only one leg because one got crushed.
What?
Sil said the last two legs, and I said no, one got crushed.
But he still has to because it's fiction.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, sorry. You had such a lovely, like, dulcet tone.
It's still
intro.
there.
It'll still be there in the edit. Okay. If this is your first rap with us, this is a very fun section that has literally no meaning except for us having some thought experiments where we go, what if this thing was different and how would that affect things? So
anyway, for our first what if scenario, what if Buck didn't get crushed by the engine? How long would Allie have stayed around? Or rather, how serious would their relationship have gone?
I think this is kind of like a two-part sort of thing. So with Allie, I think that's the easier part to answer. Allie, I don't think she would have stayed around that much longer because something else really bad would have happened. Well, tsunami, potentially.
Yeah.
Well, that's another.
But the tsunami wouldn't be him at work. That's just a natural disaster. I can tell you exactly.
Well,
you know
Buck
exactly
wouldn't be
when
at the
I
pier
think.
either.
What?
Buck wouldn't be at the.
Yes, that's the other part of the.
But he could be, but that's a different what if. But I think even if he had been, he wouldn't have been on blood thinners. And she wouldn't have been able to be like, this is something that happens to you every day because he wouldn't have been on duty.
Yeah.
And if he was on duty, it would have just been a normal day at the job. Like he wouldn't have been almost dying because he wouldn't have been on blood thinners.
I remember what you said last night.
Yes. I can tell you exactly what episode she would break up with him on the couch. Season 3, episode 15. Eddie begins.
Or like 16 afterwards.
She'd be watching the news, worried about her very serious boyfriend because they've been dating for over a year. Probably live together at this point because Buck can't not ask people to move in with him. And she'd be watching and she'd be worried because she's probably friendly with Eddie at this point too, right? Oh my God, Eddie's in the well. She's stressed. She's worried. And I don't even think it would be her thinking, oh my God, that could be Buck down there. She would literally see her boyfriend digging
with his bare hands.
Digging with his bare hands. And then her his captain having to like hold him like a grieving fucking widow.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd be like, okay, well, I can't ignore that.
Kind of hard. Yeah.
Hey, but if she hadn't, also, she would have to deal with the train derailment and the Christmas past, whatever.
Oh, that would be really interesting, actually, to see an Abby and Allie
showdown.
Kind of showdown.
Well, not a showdown, but kind of sort of.
Ooh. Then Abby would be
Allie would be like on Eddie's team being like, you're doing this for Abby.
I think if Allie had actually been around, what we know of her character, I think she would have gotten along with Eddie.
I just had that thought.
I think they had things in common.
Mm-hmm.
I think
they
that
would have paralleled each other a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think she really did care about Buck. And that's why she was even considering still trying to like get over at the end of season 2, when she basically, you can tell that she's like, I don't think I can handle this, but she isn't quite decisively breaking up with him right at that exact moment because she really cares about him. But she's communicating openly. I think that regardless, like even if they had stayed friends or whatever, but especially if they were dating, she'd fucking hate Abby.
Yeah. And that would also be really interesting too, to see Abby, or for Abby to see Buck in a serious relationship. In this scenario, we're going to suppose that it's like a happy, like relatively healthy relationship, right? Just for the what if, because hypothetical. So that would be really interesting for Abby to see Buck in that situation, and maybe Abby think like, well, this is what I could have had, and maybe have some regrets in that aspect.
Okay, well, anyway, if Shannon had lived, Eddie wouldn't have done his like weird thing he did in season 7 where he dated the ghost of Shannon. and then Kip wouldn't randomly come to his house, and they'd be doing this like weird like therapy role playing. So that wouldn't have happened.
That has long reaching consequences, because then Chris wouldn't be in Texas.
Maybe. I say maybe only because there's probably I feel like Eddie has the the opportunity to blow up his life, whether she is alive or dead anyway.
Oh, for sure. He will find, he wouldn't be in the
just
fight
not as
club.
Bad.
He wouldn't be in the fight club. Just
wait, I just thought of the funniest possible.
Wait.
What if she lived? Okay. But we're in the same exact spot right now, because instead of him walking in on his dad with his mom's doppelganger, it was Buck's. He was like, I literally can't fucking deal with you anymore.
Oh my God.
Tell me when you've
figured that out.
Tell me when you and Buck are together. I'll come home.
Oh
I'm
my
done.
God, that's wild. I don't know. I feel like if Shannon lived, they would have figured out like a co-parenting thing, because like they did kind of work out some sort of agreement for that, and it seemed to be working for the most part. The parts that weren't working were the parts where like Eddie didn't know what how he wanted to see Shannon, like as just the mother to his child, or like wife or girlfriend. So with one of those options just like taken away, he would have just seen her as the mother to his child. And then maybe they would have reverted back to that camaraderie, that friendship that they had when they were younger, and they would have been besties. And then you would have also seen what like a platonic bestie looks like for Eddie. And Shannon might have said like, okay, well, you know how we're best friends? That's not what's going on here with you and Buck.
I think she'd have about as much success with it as Maddie does with Buck.
I'm not saying that he wouldn't be stupid about it. I'm just saying she
and Maddie would have like,
they would have so much
bi-monthly lunches, because otherwise they're going to like throttle them.
Actually, I really like that idea of like Shannon and Maddie being friendly like that. Like that would be so interesting too, because they can commiserate about Eddie and Buck together.
I'm sorry. I'm still laughing at the idea of Christopher walking in on Eddie in a Buck doppelganger.
Crazy.
That's so funny to me. Someone write that, please. Please. Because like she lived. Okay, so he doesn't go to Texas. He goes to live with Shannon. Like full, because they have shared custody. Or like maybe he has Chris during
the week and
his off days, and she has him like, you know, when he's working his overnights.
Oh, wait. And then, okay. And then we can move on. I'm sorry. If Shannon had lived and Eddie and Shannon have like a shared custody, co-parenting sort of thing, and Chris is with Shannon a lot of the time, Eddie would have to figure out who he is outside of being a father and a husband so much sooner.
No, he wouldn't.
Let me have a thought.
What do you think all his hobbies are about? He has to fill every free moment.
I'm just trying to think. No, because like those hobbies, those things that like he would do, like poker or like secret poker night, like that is him kind of like doing things like outside of being a parent and a husband and stuff. So like he would learn about himself so much more.
Oh, well, sure. But I still think the gay thing would be like he'd be fucking oblivious to it.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like him having a queer realization. I'm just talking about like having
okay. I have buddy blinders on. I got you. Yep. No, agreed. Co-signed. What if Abby came back for Buck? How much longer do we think that realistically would have lasted, especially with Eddie there side-eyeing that?
I mean, I think that Eddie would take one look at that relationship and be like, this is not a good like, this is not for you. I mean, and on top of, so like, imagine this being like, okay, so Abby comes back. Actually, what if like Abby comes back at the same time that Shannon came back and they're both going through this weird, like,
ooh,
maybe Buck is a little bit more blinded to it, but like Eddie takes one look at that relationship is like, no. And then Buck is looking at like what's going on between Eddie and Shannon. He's like, yikes. You guys don't even know what kind of relationship you guys are having.
It's like you're married. You don't know if you want to be together.
But then see, Buck does this thing, right? No. What I'm saying is like, what I would want to happen is that they both take a look at each other's like respective relationship, cross ref, and then be like, no, this relationship is not for you. But then the reason why there's like a flaw to that kind of logic a little bit is because of what Buck says to Eddie in the Christmas episode about like, oh, you should be with her because that's the whole, that's Christopher's mom, and like basically saying what he probably wants to hear, but is not what he, it's not the advice that he should have given. So that's the flaw in the logic. I feel like the exes coming back also, not the exes, I'm sorry, the soon to be exes, but
in all intents and purposes, yeah.
I feel like when Shannon came back, that's when like Eddie and Buck started to hang out a lot less. Or that was what was shown on screen. So we would have gotten more Abby and Buck, but I feel like we would have gotten more of the negative sides of that relationship, if anything.
I think we would have seen, especially with Maddie coming back and
Maddie.
Buck establishing a partnership, friendship with Eddie, I think we would have seen Buck outgrow Abby very quickly because he has so much more to anchor him at this point in time than he did before, right? Because like his whole world was basically firefighting and Abby. Now his world is expanded and like have so much more depth. I think he would have outgrown Abby, and I think maybe that this could have been as much as he loves to hold on tightly to things. Maybe this would have been like the impetus of him cutting off a relationship and making that break and decision for himself rather than being the one broken up with. So it would have like put him like in, like empowered him.
I think she would have come back and he would have, because she wouldn't have been honest. I don't think she's a terrible person. I don't think she was ever going to be a good partner with him. She would lie and he would eventually find out that she cheated on him. And that's how that would end.
Right.
With the
eat, pray, love experience.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I don't think it would actually take that long because I feel like Maddie would keep bringing it up.
Yeah. And so would Eddie.
Yeah.
Then we would have gotten more Maddie and Eddie.
And then he's got like their voices in his head, right? And so he probably just like brings it up like, they keep saying that you went on an Eat, Pray, Love tour, and she just like gives him this look and he's like I can just see that playing out in my head. Like I still don't think it actually would have lasted that long.
No, I don't think so either. But it would have ended differently. So earlier today we were on live. We live streamed on our socials, which you can check out. It's Buddy System Pod everywhere. We try to go live before we record sometimes. That's usually on Saturday afternoons. And going live after new episodes air on Thursday. So like starting around 9:30 Eastern time. So we wanted to crowdsource and see what some of our buddies had some ideas for some what ifs. And Vera, who we saw on YouTube, asked, what if What a Man wasn't Eddie's introduction song? and it's so funny to think about because that's become so iconic. But Han, as the resident music guru,
Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh,
Body.
stop.
Body, yaddy, 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 yaddy.
Was that out in 2018?
Body crazy curvy. I don't care. I actually don't know. Let me look it up.
This is, you know what? This is our what if. Time is irrelevant. That's so funny.
I think I'm locking that in. I don't know if I'm going to think of something better than that. Actually, like almost any Megan Thee Stallion song, I think she's very Eddie coded.
Incredible.
I have a lot of Megan Thee Stallion on my Eddie playlist. When this came out, just for shits and giggles. No, 2020. Yeah, the first thing I thought of was WAP, and I was like, I wouldn't play that.
No, I thought about that too, but
yeah.
That's so funny.
I think I'm locking it in final answer. Like, I mean, there's other Salt and Pepper songs that also would have worked. Like, but I think it's gotta be female rappers. Like, I think it's gotta be a female rap song. Just
I like that though.
Just the energy of it just feels right, you know?
Yeah. It's so, I mean, because it's so iconic, it's so hard to think of like what else would fit there. And we know that, you know, the 911 music people do such a good job that it's hard to swap some of these out. I'm cool with that. That would be hilarious, actually. Maybe we should edit that. Just
Pony?
Just to,
Pony, yeah. Genuine.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just like any Megan Thee Stallion. Just like thought shit, savage. Body though.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's gotta be Body.
So Jay or Yes Who Why Not from TikTok asked, what if Maddie escaped but Doug never passed away?
So like, are we thinking that Buck and Athena and Detective whatever Marks who's bad at his job would catch up to Maddie and Doug before she has to kill him? Because then he would be in jail.
Yeah, but I don't know how large of a sentence he would get because they wouldn't even be able to get him with attempted murder.
He murdered the gas station attendant.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that I guess he would.
So I mean, if nothing else,
I was just thinking about Maddie.
Kidnapping.
Yeah.
Maybe attempted murder. Definitely first degree. For that gas station attendant, that's what their court case would hinge upon, really. So he would be kind of put away for who knows how long. So I think then there would always be a little bit of that fear in the back of Maddie's head. So I don't think she would necessarily be able to feel like as comfortable moving on and really settling and putting down her roots here, because not only would Doug still be alive and, you know, could get out on probation, behavior, some like however many years down the line, right? It's going to be a sometime thing that she has to keep in mind. But also it would be in California, and so that's so
it would not be first degree murder.
Second degree?
That has to have premeditation.
Second degree. So it would be many years probably that he would be put away.
10 years to life.
So there would be something in the back of her mind saying like it's an inevitability that someday he will be back on the outside and, you know, could catch up with her again.
Yeah.
But also in the meantime, he'd probably be in prison in California, which is so much closer than, you know, him doing his own thing on the other side of the country. So I think she would just be so much more uneasy about things.
Yeah. And he's still a psychopath. I mean, he's still going to, once he gets out, he probably will go and look for her.
Yeah.
So that's something she's got to.
So, would she go in witness protection?
They have to serve at least. They have to serve. I'm only looking at the secondary because I'm not like looking at the other shit. But the second degree, you have to serve in California because he would be tried in California. 15 years has to be served to be eligible for parole. So she'd be safe for 15 years.
But then what happens after that?
Would she go into like
Whitbro?
I am certain he'd get more than that for the kidnapping and for the attempted murder for Chimney. Yeah. So
the thing is, I could see him getting out for good behavior. Like sooner.
You
don't. Well, I don't know. Well, what do I know? I mean, he would try, is what I'm saying.
But you don't get out for good behavior for murder charges. Like parole, but you have to serve at least 15 years in California to even be eligible for parole, period.
Yeah. The problem is he's very smart. So he'd probably find ways to, like, even if he were like out on parole, he'd find ways to like manipulate things.
Yeah.
I think. And that would just like, Maddie would just be kind of counting down the years.
Yeah. I don't think she would ever rest.
No.
I mean, like, even though she is traumatized now, or the trauma just goes throughout seasons, she's still, at least she knows like he's not coming after her. So his death, probably the best thing
done
that could happen.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think that probably it's the best way for her to have closure and be able to move on with her life, that he is dead. And that's probably why they wrote it that way.
It sucks that it was at her hand and that she has to deal with that kind of fallout emotionally. But like getting him just like completely off the playing board.
Yeah.
Good for her.
I think as a thought experiment, just for like a fic, would be fun to write or read. Because I have no time to write, would be fun to read something where he does live and he goes to prison and like he gets out and Buck kills him.
Oh.
Anyway, read the Murder Husbands fic from
Murder Husbands fic
by Let Me Tell You About My Feels. Okay, Cheyenne from YouTube. What if Abby had been clear when she broke up with Buck?
Spiral.
Why does everybody leave me?
I kind of think we would be seeing what we're seeing now in season 8. A little bit, honestly. Like especially because that was like his first big relationship, and it's just like, would he have reverted back to 1.0? I don't think he would have, but what?
No, what I was thinking, well, okay, so like if we're paralleling the Abby Eddie now, right? About like how he's help, I'm still sitting at the restaurant bucking here. Okay. So okay, if they're kind of being paralleled, right? Supposedly Buck is getting a dog.
Oh, yeah.
In season 2, he's getting a best friend. So I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but he would
That's going on socials.
Eddie is very loyal.
Eddie's very loyal. Well, okay, and Buck I feel like it's kind of the same thing, but he's still like, I mean, he's still spiraling even in season 2 currently, because like, not spiraling. He's just kind of like, oh, I do have a relationship, but then he obviously doesn't. He's thinking about it too much. So if she broke up with him, you know, he would have been spiraling around with, why does everyone leave me? But then enter Eddie. He has a new best friend. He kind of throws himself into his friendship with Eddie and helping out with Christopher, I think.
So he'd kind of still be in the same boat.
So here's what I'm focusing on, because I'm trying to figure out, I can't actually decide if he would be more, I think it would go swing one way or the other. I don't think his reaction to Eddie at the beginning would be the same.
Ooh, no.
I think he either, because he would have had like the time for the closure to get over it, maybe he would have been able to feel a little bit more secure instead of so unmoored. And maybe he could have like had a normal-ish reaction that would have been just more gay panic focused than, you know, that. Or maybe it's worse because he decides he is never opening himself up to new people. And so now he's even more territorial and insecure.
Buck wouldn't have turned friendly as
quickly as he did.
Yeah. Yeah, there would have been more of a rivalry there, which would also be interesting to see. It's like Eddie thinking like, why does everybody love this guy and why does this guy love everybody except me? What did I do wrong?
I think it still would have only lasted until, okay, but this is, I mean, no, it still only would have lasted in, well, actually, we don't know. We don't know for sure because we have filled in the blanks. We don't know for sure why Buck drives Eddie to pick up Christopher at the end of 203.
Oh, yeah.
But if it's because of the widely accepted fanon that like Eddie's car was blocked by debris or something, then I think it's very possible that Buck could have still done that. And then I think that as soon as there's like the kid and it's over, it's game over, then everything kind of continues on the same from there.
So basically it just would have lasted an episode longer.
Or it would last until he meets Christopher. That's basically, I think, how long it would take. But it's like, at what point would he be meeting Christopher if he's being antagonistic towards Eddie? So it's either 3 or maybe it would be 3 or
4.
What is it? 4?
Stuck is
4. Yeah, 4.
Yeah, so it wouldn't last that much longer, but it would be drawn out a little more, I think.
I mean, 2 to 3 episodes is a lot longer than half of an episode.
I keep forgetting that it's like literally only the first 20-25 minutes. Like,
yeah. But yeah, Christopher would just be the key there, I think.
Let's see. Julia from Patreon
and YouTube
and everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere, man. Julia, who also picked the starting off topic for the live stream, which you can do too if you become a Buddies with Benefits. So Julia said, what if Buck saw Doug at the Christmas tree lot? And I loved that thought. So interesting because Doug was so, I mean, we talk about how all of these characters are so intelligent, but Doug was so smart and so manipulative that he would have been like lurking in between the trees or something, like waiting for Buck to leave so he could approach Chimney. And just imagine if like Buck had like turned around at the right time, basically, and saw that. And would he
or decided he needed to complain about how weird it was that Eddie hadn't told him again? He was like, and another thing, turned around and Doug is there.
2 thoughts here. 1, would Buck immediately recognize Doug and know like danger, Will Robinson? Which I think yes.
I don't know what Doug would have been able to get away with in public.
That's the thing, right? Because Buck would have alerted Maddie. Like Buck would have shooed Chimney out of there, like post haste. He would have alerted Maddie. Maddie would have probably talked to Athena. Maybe they could have gotten like a restraining order. And if he broke that, then they could send him to jail again. But would they have been able to hold him there? I don't know. So then I think it comes back to
a restraining order for what?
I don't know how the law works.
That's the thing, is I don't think that she could have actually gotten a restraining order.
She might be able to, though. Like,
well, I mean,
I don't know why my brain is going legalese.
I mean, can she, if she explained to the police that he was abusive towards
like, if
her?
she's in fear for her life because he has threatened her before,
and they can prove it with like that one call, like when they were still living in Pennsylvania, I guess.
Yeah, that welfare check.
Yeah.
So like there were suspicions, right? I don't know.
Oh no.
But you know what? It doesn't matter anyways, because with Athena Grant on her side, they could do whatever they want. Basically.
And honestly,
I mean, that's true. She will abuse the law.
But
that's
everyone
true.
knows that she
In a
was
good
running
way.
away from something,
Mhm.
and that something showed up.
I don't actually know the like ins and outs of restraining orders for this. I think normally you need to have some sort of proof. But we don't need to get into that. I think my direct thought was like, I don't know how much Doug would be able to get away with in public, because I was like, I think Buck would freeze for at least a moment. And I feel like that would be long enough for Doug to like grab Chimney.
Oh.
But I don't know how much
but like
he'd be away.
What
like,
would his
able
end
to get
game?
away with
Yeah,
in
like what
public.
would his end game be there though? Because that kind of, we do see like in Fight or Flight, like Doug has to kind of adapt to like diverge from his original plan, but like what would he do with Chimney there, you know?
Because his original plan was just to like kind of monitor her, because he was okay with her staying with Buck and figured she would like come to her senses and come home, basically.
Because
because
Chimney,
she was interested in pursuing Chimney,
that's when it
and then
shifted.
made a move. That's when he shifted, right? I don't know like what actually would have played out if she hadn't pursued Chimney, because like he's unstable. But I think that would have like pushed him to that kind of similar point, like seeing Buck, because he knows Buck, like the jig is up if Buck sees him. So I don't know.
So what are you gonna say?
Hopefully like everything would just work out for them.
Yeah.
You know, we have got Buck's Leo Rising in the game now.
Yeah.
And
so maybe it would just work out.
Does Chimney have a Leo something?
I don't know, but even if he does, we haven't discussed that on the pod yet.
All right.
True.
So
Disregard.
Last one?
This is from Chrissy from TikTok. What if Bug had been there when Doug had stabbed Chim?
Oops.
Oh, I wrote Buck twice.
We are about Buck. What if Buck had been there? Like he was already at home, or like he just came
arriving.
home sooner?
I think he could have gotten Maddie out of the situation, and then they could have gotten Doug put away for attempted murder.
We're good.
Buck probably would have gotten hurt in the process. There was a second one, which I can answer very quickly, from Chrissy. What if Buck had been dating Taylor instead when the ladder truck happened, and would she have left too? Season 2 Taylor, maybe. Maybe would have left, but she didn't seem to be someone who wanted to like have a relationship to begin with. So I don't know that they would have been like dating. I feel like they would have been just like hooking up.
And then she would have been like, you're of no use to me right now. So like, bye.
Yeah, because she's not like Nurse Nightingale.
No. I feel like she's like, I'm sorry that happened to you, but yeah.
Let me know when you're back on your feet.
Yeah, call me.
No, it's that I'm not reading all that, but I'm sorry that happened to you, or I'm happy for you. Bye.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay. And then our last segment for our season 2 wrap is our Into the Looking Glass, where we just kind of touch base on some parallels between this season and future seasons. So,
not that we haven't been doing that the whole time, but
no, but there are some very specific ones. There's some very specific ones between season 2 and season 8, because
guess who's back again. So many of them are
a bunch of people.
So many people. I was like, Shannon and Abby and Mr. Redacted are back.
I wrote, and Mr. Bones too, I fucking guess.
We keep talking about that, man.
Yeah. So Shannon dead, but never gone. She's still here.
Gone, but not forgotten.
Literally never forgotten.
R.I.P. Queen, I guess.
And, Abby wasn't in season 2, but like she was literally haunting Buck. And, oh, look, it came back to haunt him again.
It's like, it's one of those things where even their absence is such a felt presence.
Yeah.
So she's basically still there.
And then there's that guy. Go listen to the
That
2.5-hour episode. We're done. Well, you have nothing new to say about
If you'd like to hear
Just
more,
that he's there.
He's there. That's it.
And then we have Buck's love-hate relationship with fire engines.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yep. So specifically, we see in 214 Broken, Bobby has everybody roll under the trucks for cover when the plane is coming in, when that man, supposedly that man off screen, allegedly is coming to save the day. It's Chimney saving the day on his orders. Thank you very much. Interim Captain Han saves the day. So there's the order for everybody to take cover under the truck, which kind of paralleled when truck go boom and crushing. Oh, Han, I think you said like boom, crash the sound of my heart.
Yes, I did say boom, crash the sound of my heart.
So the 214 under the truck paralleled the 218 Buck being crushed by the truck, which then, moving forward in season 3, when Buck and Christopher find the 136's engine as basically their life raft, where so that's like not under but on top of, but still. And then of course in season 4, where Buck yet again has to roll under the truck and find safety. So there's this kind of like tension between the engine being a safe haven, a life raft, like a point of safety, and kind of dangerous, right? Which I guess is kind of like indicative of firefighting as a job as a whole, right? There's this push-pull of like being safe, but like also being dangerous. I don't know. So just lots of Buck and truck.
Beautiful.
And then we have my personal favorite, Eddie moving to LA to build a life for Chris from Texas. And now he's moving back to Texas, away from his life for Chris.
Oh, Eddie.
Uplifting stuff when it's Eddie all the time.
He's really trying to dig himself out of that hole. I said what I said.
Yeah. And then, but just to end on an uplifting note, I forget who fucking said this. I didn't write it. One of our lovely buddies, on the live stream suggested this as a parallel as well, which is Maddie and Chimney in the karaoke scene in season 2,
actually
paralleling. Yes, and Buck actually paralleling the Buck and Eddie karaoke scene, which we see for 3 seconds.
Oh, it always comes back to karaoke, though.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the karaoke version of Fork Found in Kitchen is, Microphone Found at Karaoke.
Yeah, sounds about right. And maybe we'll see more of it someday.
Maybe.
I know you're angling for like a flashback sort of situation.
I mean, I don't think we're getting that in the flashback unless they actually made out at the bachelor party, which I don't think they're going that route.
And that's a wrap on our season 2 wrap.
Remember, don't rewatch season 2 of 911.
But if you do,
take a buddy with you.
Thank you for listening to the Buddy System podcast from start to finish. We literally cannot shut up about 911, so please come talk to us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddy System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to get a personal shout out in the next episode. The Buddy System is a Nerd Virgin Media production featuring music from Divinity. Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to exclusive content and our Discord community.
Catch you next time, and don't forget,
Bring a buddy with you.